The third workshop that is still, we're talking about worshiping in business world. But now we're talking about the idols in business world. I call it two towers. And then also think about some other worship-related ministry we can do at work. Okay? And then this afternoon, we are going to move to the next pillar, which is stewardship. But this morning, we are going to talk about worship. Okay, two towers. When we think about worship, it's sometimes not clear to me, and it's kind of a little bit abstract. But when you think about idols, it may really real to you. My question is this: what happens when you don't worship God at workplace? What happens when you do not worship God in business world? People think the opposite of worship is non-worship. Actually, no. There's no middle ground in the world. The opposite of worship God is worshiping something else. People worship something else. When we don't worship God in our business world, we start to, whether you understand or we realize or be aware of it, doesn't matter. We start to worship something else. That's the idols. And there's a lot of things people worship, but broadly, it can be in two categories. One is the power of success. The story goes back into 4,000 years ago in Genesis, right? Do you remember the Tower of Babel? It says, "Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves and not be scattered over the face of the earth." That's the first tower that appeared in the history. The Tower of Success. And then if you read through the Old Testament, you hear a lot of the idols, but especially, do you remember Baal and Asherah? They appear so many times in Old Testament because those are the idols that the Israelites worshipped in the land of Canaan so many times and caused so many problems. But those two idols represent the gods that produce or provide abundance and prosperity. Names are different, but the same thing. And then we remember those idols stood in front of Jesus when he was tempted. Again, the devil took him to a high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and the splendor, saying, "All this I will give it to you, if you will bow down and worship me." What about now? They disappeared? No. Still the same idol is ruling over the business world, driving people. The message is clear. Glorify yourself. And it is based on the love of the word. The 1 John chapter 2 accurately describe what is this, the love of the word, which is the cravings of sinful man and lust of his eyes and the boastings of what he has and does. I went to Shanghai last spring. I landed, and there's an aircraft, and there's a terminal, right? There's a narrow hall, right? You have to walk. There's like 20 posters on the wall. You know what they said? Success, 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 success. And it's all different pictures, like cruise and the hotels, and it's like, and I said, wow, I know what is driving China now. Success. Okay. There's some symptoms. When people worship success, people really obsessed with achievement. Especially when you start business, you're mingled with your identity, your name, and everything. You just pour into what you do. You're kind of embedded, and you're kind of entangled with everything. But when the business, goes up, then you're so, your entire being is lifted up together. When something goes wrong, it goes down. Okay. Everything is kind of completely entangled with each other. And you cannot get out. I know one of my far relatives. He was a nurse. He worked hard. But he started to invest money. Bought she bought and sold stocks. But you remember, can you think of if you work hard, you make $3,000 or $4,000 a month, more. But when you invest stock, her story, you just work hard on a week and you made the same money. Then you focus more on stocks. And this is her story. When she tasted the money, actually she couldn't even eat because you keep watching the TV and the up and down the stocks. You're just totally entangled with those things. You're sucked into the price. You're kind of a slave, right? You're happy, sad, something like that. But this is an extreme case, but somehow we are. When we don't worship God, we worship something else. And especially when it happens, for really successful people, they have pride and arrogance. Especially before the financial crisis, there was 20 years of steady growth in stock price. 20 years. You know what happened is, even if you're not smart, you just throw money in the stock market, you get money, right? Because there's a more chance to make more money than losing. But people think they're smart. They make money because they're smart investors. They don't listen to other people. People become very arrogant and proud. And the problem is they start overcoming themselves, overcoming it. They feel like, okay, I can do anything I want. They invest their money and their relatives' money, friends' money, all put it in this. Because they overcome it to what they do or business, whatever. It's not because they are bad or evil, but because they're obsessed with success, they can do anything for that success. And naturally to sinning, something that they shouldn't do. They violate things, treat other people as bad. And importantly, they lose important relationships, family, friend. The most important problem is, as long as you worship something else, there's broken intimacy with God. Even if you go to worship service, there's no breakthrough with Him because you know, God knows who's in your heart. And because of broken intimacy, there's always unknown fear and emptiness. You always fear that God sometimes will devastate your business or something like that. There's a fear. sometimes those fear leads to religious eagerness. You want to fill those emptiness by working hard for God. Do you remember the young rich man coming to Jesus? He was eager to keep all the laws and then asking Jesus, what should I do to have the eternal life? Right? But Jesus knew that he's worshiping something else. So when he pointed out, he turned away from Jesus. Do you have any symptoms like this? The second tower, the tower of survivor. We start with again the Genesis. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil you will eat of it all the days of your life. The same idol stood before Jesus. The tempter came to him and said, if you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. Survival is another driver of business. On the other hand, there's success. On the other hand, there's survival. Basically, if you don't work hard, you're starved to death, right? Actually, many people in the business world, they go to work to avoid starving situation, to survive. The message is clear. You are cursed. Foundation is worries about life based on unbelief. What to eat, what to drink, and what to wear. And symptoms, they work hard, but work as suffering and punishment. It's curse. I'm suffering in my work. There's deep sense of insecurity and shame. I don't know. In most Christians, when I talk with them, they have a deep sense of shame of doing business. I don't know where this comes from. When they say I'm doing business, it's like I don't know. They don't even like to use the term of business. And when people are driven by this idol, they tend to undercommit. They don't commit at all because their fear of in the fear of the future, they cannot commit. They would all accumulate everything for themselves in fear of the future. And avoiding important relationships. But the same result. Or again, broken intimacy with God, an unknown fear and emptiness, even if you have a lot of money in your pocket. Again, it also leads to religious eagerness. You go to church a lot, and I think this is one of the problems in the modern churches. People worship something else during the business days, and coming to church on Sunday, even if they serve God, there's no breakthrough because something else is already there. The disciples are training, everything they do, but there's no breakthrough with God. Bible is very clear. No one can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. So we cannot worship God in business world if we bow down to success or survival.